This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, welcome everyone. Parsha's Vayeira. Same Parsha. So, there are so many fascinating concepts that emerge from Parsha's Vayeira. But there's one particular pasuk that has no parallel in all of Tanach and no comparison. So as the wickedness and corruption of the city of Sodom is increasing, and the Rebbe Shalom said, enough is enough, the city has to be destroyed. So the Torah now reveals to us the following piece of very classified, highly classified information. Vashem Amar, God said, Hamechasa ani me Avraham asher ani oseh. Can I possibly hide from Abraham that which I'm about to do? Can I hide it from Abraham? Then I plan on destroying the city of Sodom? And Hashem says, no. I'm not able to hide from him. Avram's a great guy. Ki yadativ, I love Avraham. I can't hide it from him. And the Torah goes on to tell us that in fact Hashem told Avraham what he's about to do to the city of Sodom. This phenomenon does not occur anywhere in the entire Tanach. Nowhere in the entire Tanach do we ever find Hashem is unsure, that Hashem is vacillating. Should I tell the Navi? Should I not tell the Navi? Yeah, the Navi, he's such a swell guy, I think I'm going to tell him. I love him, so I'm not sure. Okay, fine, I'll tell him. How can I not tell him? You ever hear Hashem say, should I tell Yeshaya the Nevuah? Should I not tell him the Nevuah? Should I tell Elisha the Nevuah? Should I not tell him the Nevuah? Should I tell Yechezkel? If Hashem has something to tell the Navi, he decisively tells the Navi. Why, when it comes to Avraham, Hashem says, should I tell him? He's such a great guy, I'm going to tell him.
Because this was the first time he had the opportunity to do that. So now that he set the precedent, he didn't have to ask again.
This is not Hashem's first communication with Avraham. We don't find Hashem said, but why is Hashem vacillating back and forth? Now, I want to...
Is it possible this indicates us that Hashem has some lahavdil human quality?
No. No, not possible. No. So, comes one of the all-time great leaders of the Jewish people, the Chasam Sofer, Rav Moshe Sofer. He lived from 1762 to 1839. And in his introduction to his Tshuvas and Yeridea, he offers the following fundamental insight. We know that Chasam Sofer was one of the greatest leaders of our people, was also one of the busiest leaders of Klal Yisrael. He filled three vital roles. Number one, he was a Rav of the Kehillah in Preshburg. He was a Rav of not only a shul, but of an entire community, an entire city. Number two, he was a Rosh Yeshiva. So usually today, those are two institutions that usually don't mix. You have Rabbanim, you have Rosh Yeshiva. Actually, they say, back in the day, the leaders of Klal Yisrael were the Rabbanim. The leaders of, you had the Pnei Yoshua, the Noida Behuda, the Rabbi Kiva, the Rabbanim of the city. And the Rosh Yeshiva, not necessarily. And today, it's an opposite, where the people, those who have the most clout today are the Rosh Yeshiva. The shuls are unfortunately don't have the same eminence that they once did. The Rabbanim have lost.
We have a Rav of cities today.
But the prestige of the Rabbanos has lost a very large share of its eminence, and probably the main reason for that is the level of scholarship. Today you have Poskim and you have Lamdanim, and okay, that's a subject in and of itself. Okay, we won't go there right now. And number three, on the Chasam Sofer, aside from being a Rav, besides from being Rosh Yeshiva, he was also the greatest Meshav. He responded to Shilas from all over the world. And what he says here is definitely Ru'uyim L'misha Amram, is definitely worthy of the one who said it. Says the Chasam Sofer, you know why Hashem is vacillating back and forth? Should I tell him, should I not tell him? Because in reality, Avraham was not on the level to receive Nevuah. In order to receive prophecy, in order to get divine revelation, you have to be in the proper frame of mind. You have to go into seclusion. You have to go into his baididus. You have to meditate the greatness of Hashem. You have to contemplate lofty spiritual matters. And Avraham was not able to do these things. Not because he wasn't great enough, but because he didn't have time. He was too busy. What was Avraham busy with? He was busy influencing people. He was being makar of people. He was teaching the world. There's one God, and when you want to influence people, you have to speak to them on their level and what they're interested about, and you have to connect with them on the level that they're on, and you have to engage them and establish relationships with them. And ultimately, Avraham was very successful, and the Rambam says he influenced tens of thousands of people. But Avraham was not able to make the proper preparations to receive prophecy. Amazingly, the Netziv in this week's Parsha uses this idea to explain a Rashi. Rashi says on the pasuk, "Koil asher toimar elecha Sarah shema b'koila." Whatever Sarah tells you, listen to. Says Rashi, "Lamadnu shaya Avraham tafel l'Sarah b'nevios." From here we learn Avraham was secondary to Sarah in prophecy. And then the Netziv says, Chas v'shalom, he wasn't secondary in prophecy. It means he was secondary in Ruach HaKodesh. And the reason is because in order to receive the divine spirit, you need to prepare, you need to meditate, you need to seclude. And Avraham didn't have time to do that. And therefore he was secondary to Sarah, not because Sarah was greater, because Sarah had the luxury of preparing herself, and Avraham did not. Says the Netziv, like the Chasam Sofer says in his Hakdama to Yeredeah, and who would be more fitting to teach this teaching than the Chasam Sofer himself, who obviously gave up his whole life to teach Torah to others at his own personal expense. Okay. So even though Avraham was hampering his own spiritual attainment, Avraham made the following calculation. Does Hashem need me to focus on my own spiritual development? Because at the end of the day, what will I be contributing to Hashem? There are already tens of thousands of heavenly angels in the heaven. Does Hashem need another angel? Let's say I raise myself up high. What? Hashem needs another malach? What will be with me when I die, says Abraham? My righteousness will end forever. It is more important to give up on my own personal greatness to influence the many. So technically, says the Chasam Sofer, Avraham was not on the level to receive nevuah. And therefore Hashem says, can I tell him the nevuah? How could I tell him the nevuah? He doesn't have enough credits to receive prophecy. He's not on the madrega. But then Hashem says, you know what? The reason he hasn't met the requirements is because he loves me so much. And he's willing to overlook his own greatness for the sake of influencing others. So even if technically he shouldn't receive the nevuah, I'm going to tell him anyway. Even though he doesn't mean it, even though I can't, but I can't not.
Maybe could I ask a question?
Yeah, after. So even though when Avraham Avinu, even though Yeshaya, God never vacillated, should I tell him? Of course he's going to tell him. He's on the Madrega and he just tells him. And Yirmiyah and Yechezkel. But Avraham deserved and earned the title that no other individual in the whole Tanach earned. And that is Avraham Ayhavi. Avraham who loves me. No one else in the whole Tanakh is given this title. Zichru Toras Moshe Zera Avram Ayhavi. Avram is considered the one who loves HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Because he gave up his own greatness to teach his fellow brothers and sisters how much the Ribbon Shalom loves them. And the Ribbon Shalom responded in kind, that Avraham, there's no one who I love more in this world than you. Because there's nothing Ribbon Shalom loves more than someone who takes out the time to show another Jew the beauty of the Torah, the beauty of Shabbos, the joy of being a Jew. And if we follow the paradigm of Avraham Avinu, then we are then Zoiche, and we are worthy of the title of being Zera Avram Oyavai. But Avraham, says Chasam Sofer, in a way was on a lower madrega than all the other Nevi'im, was on a lower madrega even than Sarah Imenu, and the Chasam Sofer has a further diak. God says, why do I love Avraham? Ki yedativ l'man asher yitzaveh esbanav esbosay acharav v'shamru derech Hashem la'asois tzedakah mishpat. Avraham, Hashem says, you know why I love Avraham? Because Avraham tells his children, follow the path of God, so God will give us tzedakah Mishnah. God will be good to us. So Chasam Sofer says, Avraham is teaching his students to listen to Hashem so that Hashem should do good to them. I thought you're not supposed to serve Hashem al manas l'kavel pras. What does the pasuk mean? That Hashem loves Avraham because Avraham teaches his children after him to follow the road of God in order that Hashem should bestow bracha on them. That's the way to serve God. So Chasam Sofer says, yeah, because who's Avraham teaching? What kind of individuals is Avraham teaching? Avraham's teaching idolaters. Avraham's teaching people who are far from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when you are Makari people, you have to speak to them on their level and speak to them and give them incentive and motivation in a way that talks to them. So Hashem says, I love Avraham because he knows and he gives up of himself to bring these people back in a very basic way. Anyway, be it as it may, Avraham Avinu earns the title Avraham Oyavi, Avraham who loves me. Have a great Shabbat.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.